Oh, hello everyone. It's Claire here with it's the full moon summary, and it's full super moon in Aquarius, which is the Sturgeon moon for August. And I'm doing the three summaries for the three astrologers I look at. The first being Pam Gregory, who's British. Pam's all knowing, so she's got so many insights. And there's a lot of threads she's brought together, but it's the fourth supermoon in a row, and there's this rare Mars Uranus North Node triple conjunction, and it influences everything this year, she says. And it sort of spreads out in August. There's a speedy connection with Mars Uranus, which is volatile and chaotic energy because it needs to come in fast. And there's timeline shifts, even eruptions, seismic activity. And Gaia, other Mother Earth, is hot, and the fires are around, as we know. But it's also actually cleansing, and it's a difficult thing to say, but it cleanses at the same time. And Uranus is active, so about awakening and truth. And so she's saying really it's a very fast moving few months: September, October, November, December. And Pam thinks these are enormous events for the world. I've been following her a couple of years, and I think she's very accurate. So just watch out for those. But it's actually, as she says, accelerated development for us all, like we're upgrading our consciousness. And any low frequency systems and structures which are not to do with love and compassion, I suppose, really will fall away. And she talks about almost the quantum physics of it. If it's not of love, it falls away. And the North Node is also very prominent, and that's about collective future destiny. And Uranus and the North Node together is about like leaps and jumps forward. So it's not necessarily a comfortable feeling. And that's what we're seeing at the moment. The UK is really quite chaotic with the politics going on. The price rises hiking up in the energy. We cannot believe it. And it is really not comfortable. But this is all for reasons. And there's quantum jumps in our frequency. It's sort of very hard to hear, to listen, to see, but it's also sort of exciting, as Pam says. Maybe not so for some people, they're just panicking. She talks about how to deal with it towards the end. Also, interestingly, that the fixed signs, I've had this from all three of the astrologers, really feel this full moon. Because they're fixed, the likes of my sign, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus. So they may feel the need to change, and there's lots of fixed sign planets actually moving. So it helps shake things up. So there's a kind of higher level way of looking at it that very quickly, actually, as well, things like cars, which so many people are attached to, certain attachments suddenly will seem less important. So watch out for that. Things which perhaps are linked to money, things which are about possession. And as community becomes more important, sharing values moves forward. And she talks about Saturn, Aquarius, Taurus, October, and Uranus, October the 1st. And there's a big thing happening there with those around that time, but you'll be feeling that late September. I do like the way she gives snippets ahead as well, as almost because her recordings are done at a certain date. Whether I'm just doing this at the full moon, she's already recorded this. So we get a sort of snippets of the future, but also a little bit in the past. And it's very interesting because you can see that she's really got a handle on what's going on. She doesn't look at politics at all. She doesn't have to. She can see the bigger picture. And she talks about 18 degrees of Taurus, so countries affected, and Mercury and trade, affecting trade. So EU is being affected on the trade. Saturn, Uranus, Taurus, Aquarius, trade supplies affected, identities affected. And she talked about Gazprom halving the supply of gas to the EU. And the effects of it are just being felt all over the place. And Uranus cuts off Taurus in a way. That's what she saw it, which is resources. And then you've got In the UK, 18 degrees, Neptune 18 degrees of Scorpio, affecting the economy, employment, trade, very triggered by the astro movements and radical changes with the food supplies. And she's talked about that, and I've echoed it and felt it myself, and almost seen visionary sort of things to do with just stocking up better on supplies. Do that now if you can. Certain things like, the things that are staple to you, like it might be rice, it might be pasta, things just to get you through, as she says, in these next few months. It won't last, but it's going to be a little tricky, bumpy ride for these next 3 or 4 months. And it's she talked about Aries, the individual fighting elitism, and for the street fighter, really, versus Pluto and Capricorn, which is about control, and there's a big clash going on. You can certainly see that, I think, and there's a movement going on. I watch TikTok as well, actually. There's a big movement there about don't pay on the on your direct debits for the energy, because they're saying by 1st of October we should be all sort of coming together as a community to say this, enough is enough, because the hikes are incredible. Also individual freedom and human rights versus the state. And then 5th to the 7th, which is in the past now, the moon is out of bounds, which means kind of more extreme expression. Now, I did feel some of this. I was very emotional at times. And on the 5th, Mars Uranus opposing. And on the 7th, Mars Saturn square, sort of hitting a wall. So rebellions quashed, like the control coming in and discipline to complete things. I'm not sure if you felt that, but I certainly felt the desire to get on and complete what I was doing. And almost then had a period, maybe in the last 2 days, where it's been a bit quieter. So going back to the supermoon, which is on the 11th Pacific time, on the 12th in European time, there are 6 planets in fixed signs. So it's called a fixed grand square or cross. And there's Saturn and opposition with the North Node and Moon. Great tenacity and determination to see things through. And this will be kind of a feeling coming up. Entrenched opposing, like dug in your position, hence the combustive energy, really. She's talking about like digging in to get things done, to get to see things through. And it's sort of this special fast jumping with Uranus conjunct to the North Node, and the North Node being about the future. And trine to Mercury. I'm not an astrologer, so it's all like a different language, but I can actually begin to pick up what they're talking about because I know a little bit about the horoscope signs. And original ideas in Taurus. So really good new ideas coming through about food, natural resources, and practical ways. And she even mentioned as well at one point maybe issues with jealousy and control. Then the full moon for Aquarius, it's about like introspection, and it's great actually. Aquarius about community, friendship, but Aquarius can also be a little bit aloof as well. But it's great for new systems, networks, communications, and it's quite positive. And networks for the people, not abstract, but real all over the world. We're not just talking about certainly our country or America, we're talking about all over the world. And that is the beginnings, as we see, of, if you've heard the phrase, New Earth, which is really a new way, a completely new way of looking at things, and almost a birthing of a new Earth. It has to happen. It's been there in the making for some time, but it's absolutely coming to, if you like, to the surface. And she talked about one of the things I do find she can go off at a tangent sometimes. Talked about a Lithuanian sky god, but linking to peace, friendship, and bringing back something that I linked with sacred rituals and community, and this, the sacredness of that. Plus the laser focus from Capricorn with that. And as the old collapses, the low frequencies and complex issues do arise, because they have to be seen, to be dealt with. And she's talking about don't live from the outside in, because that is going to cause fear. It's going to cause panic. As we've said before, she mentioned quantum physics. Live from the inside out. So instead, like, she doesn't watch news, hasn't watched it for 2 years or something. Be selective. I've started not watching it. I just tend to watch a bit on the internet more, occasionally the 10 o'clock news bulletin. But turn really inwards and focus on the breath and through the heart chakra, which reduces cortisol, improves the immune system, going very deep into the breath, and just taking some time to release and feel your own sort of anchorage and your own center, which is very powerful and sacred, and that quiet space within. And we then get less scattered energy and a sense of divinity, and like almost the Buddhist peace and self-power that comes in with that, and use the joy, the peace, the love, and be in the company, as she suggested, of like-minded people. I certainly felt this, and with some friends as well, over that last 6 months to a year. Some people have felt very isolated and alone. I sometimes feel that too. But we are in a transition period, so we will get there. You will find the people on the same frequency. It's just that they're using a phrase, timeline. We're on separate timelines a little bit at the moment. But we're coming together bit by bit, and as we're seeing, the communities will form, and more focus on creation and less on destruction. Obviously, this is a difficult period because certain things do have to go by the wayside. But if we also then at the same time look at creating the new things, which is partly what I've tried to do with my de-stress program, it's much more positive. And then I'm on to Tanya Gabrielle, numerology and astrologer, very sort of high vibration lady, comes across as so bright. And looking at her sort of summary, she talks about obviously the Aquarius supermoon, bringing Aquarius, Uranus and Saturn together. And Saturn rules Aquarius. So also activated, as she mentioned, in October, exact 1st of October. This T square, Mars, Taurus, Uranus, Mars, North Node, and Leo, etc. T square with Sun, Moon opposition. So much information. But overall, about leaving the past, Saturn. And that's part of Saturn, really, what that's about, behind. And Aquarius and Uranus are about the future, and the momentum picks up. So we accelerate now. And she's talking about 19 degrees. So beginning and ending, 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. 1 is about new beginnings. And she talked about 19 being called the Prince of Heaven, which linked to the sun in sacred ancient times. And the 6 planets she talked about were fixed signs, like linking in with Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo. About those signs are very often hanging on to old stuff. We need to get stuff done, and Uranus will rattle our cages a bit. And I'm talking as a Scorpio. I do feel some of that myself, and I'm really aware. It's like having 2 brains, like you know what you should be doing, but you're hanging on to stuff. So just be aware. And actually, to the point of, and I'm just talking myself, is that I think if sometimes with the fixed signs, if things we're ignoring the voice that's telling us to let go of something external would possibly happen to make it happen. So just be aware there. And building of new values, Saturn and Taurus, and Aquarius, the community, and Saturn, leadership, work, discipline, versus Uranus, future, genius almost, and change, she says. So get comfortable, be flexible, tune into your guides, use the internal navigation, your divine energy, inner voice, and really, sort of hang on to what you can with your inner guidance. And talked about Saturn governing leaders, and leaders impacted by change at the moment as well. So because Saturn governs leaders, and not implicit trust if it's the old ways. So Aquarius is the shift, inventive, future, inspiring, long range goals, the age of Aquarius, innovation. and look at the vision of your life, the bigger picture, where you get joy, peace, abundance, and that inner peace, and excitement, surprise. And it may be a bit uncomfortable with the shadow side of things, any inflexibility, fear of change, being aloof, and so on. So there's real kind of like things going on here in the background. An Aquarius will take feelings more seriously now. Emotional commitment, it may be magnified, or the lack of it. And this full moon will really begin to shine that light strongly there, where there is people are not taking on this commitment seriously. We need to get the work done. We need to do the things that are right for us. Also, Mars, move, get active, sow seeds of change, and impulses. Be aware of impulses. We yearn for freedom, and things will move quickly. And definitely about being flexible and adjusting, and not kind of aggressive to some of the reactions. So just watch that. And she talked about the moon and Chiron, the healer, tender healing feelings, and enhanced at this time, and positive about compassion. And we move together, and individuals move, and individuals and the community. So Aquarius deals with both. And it's the water bearer, it's about the flow. So don't fight the flow, she talks about. And like the flow of a river, a bit like the flow of the birth in the birth canal, you've got kind of got to go through it. So lingering doesn't help, it just causes pain. I know as a mother that's given birth. So release the past with every breath, express the divine light, don't suppress it. And go to the heart center, really. So that's what she's saying. And then on to Braca, lovely Braca Goldsmith. She talks about intensity in increasing of this moon. You can feel that, that stay true to the self. She thinks it's a big test as well about sort of being true to who you really are. And the awakening with the Grand Cross. She also talked about Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, especially affected, and Taurus almost at the apex of it. Any Taurians out there? And Taurus, ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, very impacted. Sorry, Uranus with linked with Aquarius there. New relationship with Mother Earth and the divine relationship, an awakening of energy and linking to nature. And say, she talks about speaking to the plants. I sometimes have hugged the odd tree. See if you can get any other feelings or any messages. Watch out for messages from nature. Find the calm, sweet spot. And Taurus rules the voice, chanting, song, dance, toning, and talents and gifts. So bring out your light. And Taurus rules beauty, and she talked about the redefining of beauty, and look at the beauty inside, not just all the millions of pounds that's spent on the external beauty of doing God knows what, uplifts and this. Look at what's inside and work on that, and live with gratitude and the highest vibration that we can, and see through, as the others say, see through the heart. She mentioned again that actually Aquarius can be detached and cool, but it can be needed. And, you know, that's really helpful sometimes, where there's all this chaos going on. Aquarians do have that capacity to sometimes detach from that and look at the bigger picture. So very, very helpful. And what else did she say? She sort of talked suddenly about 4 elements. Earth energy is very important, almost the most important. Throat, voice, ears, Mother Earth, music, silence, peace. And then the South Node linked to Scorpio, water. And there's something about like working quietly in the background, Scorpio with the South Node, and around censorship. Where must we stay strong? Things like sexuality issues, abortion issues. What do we need to leave behind at this moment? And then she talked about fire being in the heart, the kindness, the playfulness, maybe linked to that element. Some of the fire signs are very playful. I'm really noticing that. And air as well. And Aquarius is, I think, air. Be detached. and about circulation as well. Air is circulation. So some fixed signs, as she says, get stuck. Communicate if you're stuck. And it could mean the ending of a relationship or business. I may need to break free. So and really just to go kind of with the flow, and that to really get change, we have to move forward. And then I very briefly actually looked at another lady I sometimes see called Molly McCord. She just said, Mars is showing showed an activation, and it's linked to North Node, new pathways, Sun in Leo with Moon in the Aquarius. Our lives are actually not fixed, and part of consciousness is ready for the next steps. Willingness to grow. We receive downloads from higher realms. I think a lot more people are receiving those now. If you do start to feel strange and think, oh, where are these ideas coming from? It's not from me. That's probably, to be perfectly honest, what we sort of term a download in spiritual speak. And it's coming from probably guides from a higher plane. So just be aware, there's so much going on, and we can call in our higher help, guides, higher self, divinity, depends what you sort of believe in, but there is extra help there. And it is the last supermoon of the year, and it's called the Sturgeon moon, linking in with sort of the fish and nature, really. So beautiful time of year, beautiful sun. A lot of heat waves going on at the moment. I think we're towards the end of the heat wave, thank God. Although there we are going off on Mediterranean holidays, and it's like the Mediterranean here, but we're not coping with it so well because most of us don't live near the seaside or and in that holiday mode always. Anyway, I do hope you have a good full moon and hope you enjoyed this little broadcast. And thank you to all those amazing female, I have to say, astrologers, goddesses that they are. And lots of love, and stay positive, and speak to you soon. Bye.